Hey guys, Ron here, and it's finally time to unveil what the Asone region actually looks like and how you travel through it. Last week I released the videos about the gym leaders from Asone, including the new battle mechanic, and today I'm going to go through each and every location in the order you would theoretically play through the games. I'll also describe which Pokemon you can find in each route and landmark so you can plan your team before I finally release my story videos next week. That's why it's super important to watch this video and last week's gym leader video, because once I begin describing the actual plot of the games next week, I won't dive into the locations and gym challenge since those were covered separately. And to understand the types and lore of the Pokemon you'll see today, you need to check out my Asone region playlist that contains the videos in which I created all the Pokemon in the Asone region Pokedex. Before I begin, if you didn't know already, my region is inspired by the Middle East. I technically created Asone when I was a teenager, but the region wasn't based on any real-world location. Since the city I live in was already turned into a region, Unova, I needed a place that I have some kind of attachment to. Considering I grew up surrounded by Middle Eastern culture through my own family and friends, I have a huge appreciation for general Middle Eastern culture. It's very underrepresented in media, so I combined the region I made as a teen with the Middle East, and it worked out really well. I was able to retain almost all of the locations I made while combining them with real-world locations. Of course, the Middle East is made up of many different countries, but the whole theme of my region is the fact that Asone is relatively fractured and that each location has its own culture and way of life, especially when it comes to interacting with Pokemon. Countless of civilizations have risen and fallen here. So yes, I know this map is huge and dense, but I want it that way, and I like the diversity. The point was to base it on the Middle East, not to translate it one by one. This is not the Middle East, this is the Asone region, therefore all of its settings, conflicts, and history have to do with Pokemon and Pokemon alone. The ruins are related to Pokemon, the geography has been formed by Pokemon, the wars have been fought with and against Pokemon, and the technology of the region is derived from the power of Pokemon. Asone is the birthplace of Pokemon training. It is where Pokemon were first tamed and domesticated, and as a result, the Pokemon in Asone are more powerful and intelligent. To set the stage, you, the player character, are part of a powerful family in Asone and have just moved to a rich part of the region with your parents. Your journey begins in Alayad, a hometown on a white stone cliff canopied by a bunch of cedar trees to the north. The villas here house some of Asone's most important people, including your family, considering your father's a famous politician, and of course, Asone's leading expert in Pokemon intelligence, Professor Cedar, who will give you one of 3 starters. Alayad is based on Beirut, Lebanon, where my mother's parents are from. Obviously, every town in Pokemon, especially the earlier ones, are going to be way smaller than their real-world counterparts, but I also figured that if I ever make an Asone sequel, I'd fill in some of the gaps in the map and expand some locations. Going south past the Regal Gate, you enter Route 1, also known as Alayad Gardens. It's double the size of a normal Route 1 because it's extremely scenic and will be the source of all the tutorials needed in the game, including 2 trainer battles. The gate to Route 1 also gives you access to the cable cars leading to Lawson Island, but you'll need enough money to pay the toll, which you won't have at the beginning of the game. Here are all the Pokemon you'll find on Route 1, but the Asonian Pokemon that debut in this route are Erodent, Labird, and Twug. Route 1 is based on the Bahai Gardens in Haifa, where my mother was born. Exiting Route 1, you arrive at Bait Rock, a tourist destination with its lively beach and bustling markets. It has older buildings with cafes and a shuk or market right in the middle with food stands and shops, but it's known for a lot of modern architecture as well. Plot happens here too, like a demonstration by Team Ozone. Once you get a fishing rod and or surf, you'll have access to these Pokemon with the super rare Torpices if you decide to fish here first. Bait Rock's based on Tel Aviv and Jaffa, where my dad grew up, an ancient port town that has become very modern. Continuing on, we journey through Route 2, lush farmlands with a quaint farm and excavated ruins, a combination of times gone by and flourishing agriculture. You'll be able to access hidden items once you get Cut, Strength, Rock Smash, and even Surf, so it's definitely a place you'll want to backtrack to. All the routes are like wild areas, so the camera's controllable and the Pokemon are in grass and the overworld. Here are the Pokemon that can be found on Route 2, with the Asonian debut of Hoppinch, Sharpine, Gerbolt, and Tindril. The route's an amalgamation of all the farmland north of the Negev, considering any point more southern than this is relatively more arid. I wanted to make sure that the first 2 routes looked relatively normal instead of starting out in desert climates, but obviously things are shifted around from the real-world inspirations just like every region, so nothing is accurate. This is Asone, not the real world. You finally enter your first major town, the ancient walled city of Gimmelhub. There are dense brick alleys and bridges connecting multiple levels. It has 4 gates, but you have access to 3 and only half of the city, because the southern district is separated by an ancient wall, built thousands of years ago to protect the citizens from rampaging Pokemon. And nowadays, no Pokemon are able to enter, and therefore trainers can't access the southern district. You'll learn more about the legendary nature of the wall in the plot videos, but it definitely shows the relationship between humans and Pokemon in Asone. You'll be able to have your first gym battle battle here with Daniel, and in the post-game you'll finally be able to enter the southern district and visit places like a new market and your father's office. Gimel Hub is clearly based on Jerusalem. Now that you have cut, you can access Route 3, a mountainous location that transitions into a beach as you climb down the hill, and eventually bridges over a canal. There's a monastery there that acts as your first daycare, where monks will take care of your Pokemon, and once you learn strength later on in the game, you'll be able to access a small cave in the mountain with ancient items, and once you have Surf, you can get to a cluster of tiny islands out at sea. The Pokemon here are as follows, with the debut of Mateen, Poilover, Voltalope, and Asonian Pidove. Route 3 is based on the Sinai Peninsula, obviously less of a peninsula though. Heading west, you'll make your way to Delta Sfar. Since ancient times, it has been a fishing and port town with bridges and canals. Its most famous attributes are the Citadel, now a museum, and lighthouse with a library inside of it, where you'll be able to do your own research on Asone's lore, especially about the ancient war between humans and Pokemon. Delta Sfar lies at the delta of the Asonian River. This place is clearly based on Alexandria, where my grandmother is from. The ancient library and lighthouse of Alexandria have been combined into one giant landmark, and I've taken liberties placing it right in the middle of the Nile's Delta. To the west of Delta Sfar is the Delta Jungle. It's split into 3 parts, the route at its exterior, the jungle itself, and the giant crater, where an ancient civilization once lived. The river has made this land so fertile that a jungle can be sustained. There are cut tree puzzles, date palms, abandoned clay huts, and a watering hole, but once you get Rock Smash after your second gym battle, you can access the crater for some plot-related stuff. What caused the crater? Well, it's believed that this is the location where the box art legendaries landed when they came to Asone. There are many Pokemon that can be found in this jungle, but the Asonian Pokemon that debut here are Stickid, Vitendril, Tranquil, and Asonian Slakoth. Notice that some of these mons are version exclusive. That'll be consistent in almost every route. This location is based on Minya, Egypt, and the Siwa Desert, which is actually relatively far from the Nile. It's basically a concave version of the ruins that can be found in Siwa. Exiting the jungle, you arrive at Hebun, the brown city with a bustling downtown apartment district, Central Plaza Park, and Palace Citadel. It outlooks many Asonian landmarks like its pyramids and monuments. The business part of Hebun is on the other side of the river though. It's based on Cairo, where my grandfather is from, but parts of historic Cairo were actually translated into the routes below Hebun. Route 4 is accessed through the giant bazaar or souk that is inside of an ancient temple where you can acquire a plethora of items for your journey and Pokemon. Once you get through the market, you'll notice that half the route is sandy. It's where the gym battle takes place in this excavated hole. The other half is grassy near the riverbank. You'll be able to find these Pokemon with the debut of Filuna, Habitat, the super rare Asonian Meowth, and Asonian Poochyena Numel, which I haven't made art of. In the gym dungeon, you'll be able to find the fossils that can be resurrected into Salumin and Basilapis. The route itself is based on historic Cairo, Aswan, Egypt, and various ruins like Luxor, Memphis, and Edfu. You see, during the main game you won't have access to the rest of this giant desert, but in the post-game, you'll be able to go on expeditions to places like the pyramids, caves, and ruins. Once you have Rock Smash, you can cross the Searing Sea on Route 5 by hopping on the Salt Pillars. The sea is unsurfable considering it's extremely salty and no Pokemon wants to enter it. It's the lowest point in all of Asone, and where most of the salt collects from the Great Flood thousands of years ago caused by Krakosmic. It's a dry and rocky area where you have to weave your way through the arches and up the mountain. There are even scientific facilities here compiling data on the health effects of the Searing Sea's salt and sand. Here are the Pokemon here with the debut of Halite, Cipollin, and Suispan. This place is inspired by the Dead Sea, which is the lowest land on Earth, and the Valley of the Moon in Jordan. When you finally make it to the Old Gate, you will go through a cave and enter the spiraling fortress city of Sitamar. The city spirals up a mountain and is actually where you can get a bicycle. At the top is the ancient battleground and amphitheater where thousands of years ago the first ritualistic Pokemon battles took place. You can even participate in daily battles here. Sitamar is based on Amman, Jordan, and the historical archaeological city of Petra. Coming back down, you'll be able to enter Route 6 to the north, Asone's Nature Park. It's this vast rocky canyon that gets progressively more wooded, misty, and less barren as you make your way north. It's very dynamic with tons of sharp boulders. There are many old and new Pokemon, but it's the first place Ratdozer and Crestoxic can be found in the wild. The route is based on the Dana Nature Reserve in Jordan. As you enter the foggy forest, you'll begin to see a bunch of ruins. This is both a landmark and settlement called Sevidar, where Asonians have respectively made these ancient ruins their homes. They've refurbished the insides of these houses and live in harmony with the forest Pokemon around them. This is the location of many ancient civilizations and countless battles throughout Asone's history. In this abandoned citadel, your gym battle takes place with the town's youngest leader, Layla, who can speak with the forest Pokemon and knows all about its history. This is both a town and wild area, so you'll be able to find these Pokemon with the debut of Asonian Vigoroth, Plumace, Sparkter, Terrafract, Glodal, Possessed, and Vermint. Half of these do wander off to Route 6, so they're found there too. Sevdar is basically Damascus but in a forest mountain like Kasab, Syria. It's cohesively combined with many other Syrian and South Turkish locations like Akcay and the mud houses found on the Syrian border. The gym is based on the citadel of Aleppo. I like taking multiple places and combining them into new concepts, kinda like how Sutapolis is like Japanese Santorini, or Lentimas's Pueblo houses in the middle of New York. Exiting Sevdar to the west, you enter the mountainous cliffside that is Route 7, filled with vegetation, suspension bridges, and waterfalls that you'll be able to ride up later in the game. There's even a remote beach that you can access by getting through the cliff maze. Its most notable features are the giant statue heads depicting Asonian legendary figures, both Pokemon and human. Many Pokemon can be found, but only Torpaices debuts here if you decide to fish. Route 7 is based on the Taurus Mountains, the heads on Mount Nemrut, and Antalya, Turkey, specifically modeled after the Lycian Way, an epically long trail in southwestern Turkey. Connected to Route 7 are the beaches of Route 8, a tourist destination with villas and hotels. This Mediterranean beach has baklava stands and ice cream vendors to battle. You can see people jump from the castle ruins into the sea, another example of Asone's interaction between past and present. The northern part of Route 8 gets more mountainous as you go up. There are beautiful Pokemon here, but Invilover, which I made years ago, debuts in the grasses of Route 8, inspired by the Aegean region of Turkey and places like the resorts of Aludeniz and parts of Izmir. At the north end of Route 8 is a cave. Enter it. Now you're inside Western Ritus Mountain Range, a cave full of ancient rooms that were once part of an underground civilization. The western caves are relatively empty with lots of pools of water you cannot cross yet, almost like the early part of Mount Cornet. The more exciting caves come later, but some neat Pokemon debut here like Stagmite and Luminsect. When you go through the eastern exit, you find yourself in Thetavi, a rural tourist town in the middle of the Ritus Mountain crater. This town is full of farmers markets, houses carved into the mountainside, fairy chimney rock formations, and a falconing fortress where your gym battle takes place. The town is also known for its Pokemon air shows where people can watch from hot air balloons. The Pokemon fan club is present here too. Thetavi is based on Cappadocia, Turkey, also a specific historic town in Turkey, and some architecture in Ankara. Once you have the ability to fly, you enter the vast labyrinth that is East Ritus Mountain. The interior is an abandoned city with trainers in each corner searching for lost treasure and rare Pokemon. There are even antique and souvenir shops in the cave. There are many hidden grottos and places to backtrack to once you acquire each HM. Lots of false exits lead to various exterior sections of Mount Ritus, like cliffs with ruins, lakes and snow-capped mountains. You may even find the cave that leads to the snow-capped peak of Ritus Mountain, or the field that has the remains of an ancient ark. Some new Pokemon you'll find are Terraflect, Actite, Asonian Furret, and a super rare Carbonk. Its highest peak is based on Mount Ararat in Turkey, like the peak Noah's Ark settled on in the Bible. But the range is a combination of the various mountain ranges of Turkey. The underground city is based on the Derinkuyu and Kaymakli underground cities. The final and real exit is a tunnel that leads to Sion City, an industrial city with tall buildings, stained glass shopping centers, roads and overpasses to the north, with a giant park, ancient palace, houses and power plant. It's where you'll find Game Freak's headquarters too, a battle cafe, grand bazaar, and the gym inside the power plant. The industrial nature of the city contrasts with the sacred land it is built on, the energy hub of Asone. There are some wild Flaffy and a gifted Togepi here. It's based on Tehran with the grandeur of Isfahan and the beauty of Shiraz. This makes sense since this town seems like it's split in two, between past and future. Southwest of Sion is Break Mountain. Both the volcano park exterior and the interior of the active volcano are accessible after acquiring strength. You'll take the trail up to the volcano and enter through a winding path with some exits leading to small cliffs on the side of the volcano. Some powerful Pokemon in the area too, with the debut of Mysowine, Baneko, Asonian Azumarill, Zapuni, and Asonian Rotom outside of the volcano, a very dangerous location. Break Mountain breaks the scenery and is inspired by the stratovolcanoes in Iran, like Mount Damavand and Sabalan. I don't know how to pronounce those places, just saying. When you exit the volcano, you make your way through Route 9, where wind always blows ash to the east. It's a dynamic route with black dirt and green grass. There are tons of hills and rocks that make for the most dynamic terrain in Asone. Lots of hot Pokemon here, but you'll see Activolt, Spinda, Ventex, and the extremely rare Swirlava for the first time in the wild. It's inspired by a combination of Afghan and Icelandic land. I'm always a fan of ash routes like Route 113 in Hoenn and Route 227 in Sinnoh. After many battles, you'll finally reach Ashton, a town that has been in the path of Mount Break's eruptions for centuries. It's constantly broken down and rebuilt with the help of Pokemon, but people who need a break after journeying far like to bathe in its hot springs, which will heal your Pokemon. There are shops and abandoned buildings full of children playing, drawing graffiti, and Pokemon battles to be had. It shows the enduring liveliness of Asonian citizens in the face of constant adversity. Sometimes the troubles in Asone aren't Pokemon related, but the result of nature. Ashton is a combination of places I love in Pokemon like Stow-on-Side, Dreamyard, Spikemouth, and Potown, towns that are also dungeons themselves. Going north, you trek up Route 10, which gradually gets colder and more snowy. There are some remote houses, some abandoned, and a giant statue of a legendary Pokemon carved into the cliff. A winding path takes you up the mountain. As you go up, you start going in and out of Brilliant Cave, a snow-filled icy tunnel maze. It'll be a grand puzzle to get to the highest level. New Pokemon you can encounter here are Luxio, Cafrost, and the incredibly elusive Barrett. Like almost impossible to find Barretts. This place is based on Bamiyan Valley. When you finally make your way out of Brilliant Cave, you find yourself in the white city of Bellic, a winter wonderland that is the entertainment center of Asone. It's almost like an amusement park. Here you'll find Asone Productions, where they shoot the Team Ozone show, City Hall, where the friendly mayor works, the monorail between districts, Pokemon ice sculptures all around, and of course the stadium where your gym battle will take place. Belic's based on Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, with a bit of Mashhad, Iran. It's the least Asonian of the entire region in terms of culture, considering it's mostly based on a place outside of the Middle East. The routes in the north of Belic are inaccessible at this point in the game, but now that you have surf, you can backtrack to a ton of locations and have access to Lawson Island, inspired by Cyprus. It's basically like a wild area, almost like half of the Isle of Armor. It houses a resort and a good deal of water caves that you can surf in and out of. You will find tons of hidden items, trainers, and Pokemon with hidden abilities and egg moves that'll constantly update throughout the game. Sometimes famous trainers from other regions will be vacationing here, with their strongest teams. It's a place you'll want to come back to multiple times. The Pokemon exclusive to Lawson Island are Duncraft, Sharpedo, and Blossom, but the rest are always changing. But most importantly, now you can go back to Sitamar's Gate. On the other side of a pool in the gate's cavern is the entrance to the Abandoned Land, a giant desert that is prone to sandstorms. There are many strength, cut, and rock smash puzzles in the area, as well as lots of hidden items, dunes, crevices, and rich trainers riding vehicles. Some are riding actual Pokemon. Lots of Asonian Camerupt. There's a highway going over the desert and some ancient tombs and ruins. Even tents to chill under and chat with hospitable locals. Many Pokemon debut here, like Asonian Camerupt, Mightyena, the rare Barbariana, Wailord, Shawcastle, Clownine, Paraterra's Fossil, and the occasional Infantrek. Remember that Pokemon are in the overworld just like in Sword and Shield. Giant Wailord will pop in and out of the sand, and you will have to chase after speedy Infantrek if you want to catch one. This place is obviously based on the Arabian Desert. To the west of the Abandoned Land is Itnaras. It's a town where Pokemon are not allowed outside of their Pokeballs. It's pristine with white roads. This is holy ground with an ancient artifact left from the Great War of Asone. It is believed to be the Wheel of Arceus that can control the power of any Pokemon wrapped by it. To the people of Itnaras, it is a symbol of humanity's taming of the beast. A town that is constantly thinking about the past versus the city parallel to it. If you take the newly built road east, you will find Talatar, a futuristic city whose business revolves around the oil rig in the center of Talatar Bay. This crescent coast is both industrial and majestic. It does have a Pokemon daycare right outside to take care of the workers' less busy Pokemon. You can surf out to the oil rig. Lots of plot happens there, so I won't spoil it. But out at sea, you'll find Wild Captorant, Petroluth, and Putridome owned by the oil companies of Talatar to clean up any oil spills. In one of the buildings, you'll even find a scientist who will evolve your fossils into their correct forms. Talatar is based on Doha, Qatar, where the economy is kind of centered around oil. The southern part of the Abandoned Land contains the Gradient Oasis, a rocky route that gradually becomes more fertile. It is miraculous how lush this oasis is. The reason is a spoiler, by the way. You'll find some travelers and vendors there, along with the wild debut of Thundorix, Strutridge, and Manamon. All three are impossibly rare, but will be spotted drinking from the watering hole, but even if you manage to spot them, they will easily get away. If you keep on going, you'll be able to enter the Arbati Jungle, an artificial jungle created by human and Pokemon ingenuity. I imagine it to be the biggest forest in mainline Pokemon, but most of it is inaccessible at this point since you don't have the Waterfall HM yet, so it's a simple path through it for now. As you can see, there are many older Pokemon here, but all the ones that debut are very rare like Phasmask, Vividus, Asonian Unpheasant, Offley, Clawstrap, Menace, Psycholion, and Dredigan, half of which are only found in parts accessible later. Once making it through, you finally arrive in Arbati, based on Dubai and a bit of Abu Dhabi. A futuristic city with a water park. It's a resort for the wealthy with artificial islands, a game corner, hotels, the gym located in the Sail Tower called Waterfall Tower, and the tallest building in the Pokemon world, Ozone Tower. The southern part, or historic district, is untouched. Through much campaigning by the locals, it has been saved from being torn down. You can even get a Porygon and Beldum here. This is the city with the most amount of plot. The climax takes place here and partially in the Oasis, but after the climax, for plot purposes I cannot explain until the spoiler-filled plot videos, parts of the region have been partially destroyed after you save the world, giving you access to certain locations. For example, some trees in our body jungle have been knocked down, giving you access to the most southern part of the jungle, an abandoned civilization surrounded by waterfalls and a remote beach. Many Pokemon like Dredigan have moved into these ruins. This jungle's oasis has tons of treasures, rare Pokemon, and some trainers who found the place as well. It's based on a bunch of places in Oman, like Salala, mixed with Yemenite architecture. The events of the climax have also caused an avalanche north of Belek, giving you access to Route 11, a snowfield with evergreen mazes and chunks of ice floating in the sea. There are strong currents to pass through if you want to access the many islands in the route. It's like an entire aquatic wild area. Once you have the Dive HM, you'll be able to discover the sunken city of Kazaku, based on Baku, Azerbaijan. You'll find treasure and what seems to be an ultimate weapon, like that found in Kalos. What's up with that? Watch the plot videos when they come out to know. Rare finds like Thawr, Luxray, and Cryovibos make their debut here. Now that you can go up and down waterfalls, you can finally access Route 13, a bridge and waterfall-filled canyon. It will take some time to discover every nook and cranny of this route, and just like most routes in Asone, there are remnants of some kind of civilization. A respectable group of Mons live here with the rare Jolterra and Menhis. All of its paths lead to the location of your final gym battle in Asone Palace, based on the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. This castle town is full of flowers and Pokemon that enjoy the environment. It is both city and dungeon considering there are move tutors and shops, but you'll also have to dive in and out of indoor pools in order to get to the throne room, where the royal gym leader can be found. He'll teach your Pokemon the ability to dive once you defeat him. Now, with all the overworld techniques and HMs, you can finally go back to Western Ridus Mountain and unlock the path to Victory Road by diving into one of its cave pools. There are many sections of Victory Road. First, the interior caves and grottos. Once you get out, you'll exit into the thermal spring area. Lots of hot pools inside white mineral craters. If you're lucky, you'll find the pools that heal your Pokemon. As you climb down the mountainside, you'll enter the grassy hills that lead to Victory Road's forest. Exiting the forest leads to the ancient fortress of Altipol, a dungeon within Victory Road. If you find your way through the maze, you'll finally be able to cross the piercing bridge. There are many Pokemon in Victory Road, but Grassassin, Baneko, and Felance make their wild encounter debut here. You finally enter the city of Altipol, based on Istanbul, a place that has withstood the test of time and hosts the Asone region's championships. There's a steep hill with colorful buildings, a trolley system to take you between districts, restaurants and cafes, mansions, a palace, grand bazaar, and the Eternal Stadium, where your tournament begins. Upon becoming champion, you are now given government access, which means the ability to travel through Altipol's Aqueduct Gate, which serves as a border between the Asone region and the next region. Now, I'm not going to cover the post-game locations because the entire purpose is related to the gameplay. You'll be able to go on missions with the gym leaders you befriended, like a pilgrimage to Epta and its Pokecropolis, an expedition through the desert to find ancient Asonian ruins, a goodwill mission to Tamend, where I will reveal a super sick post-game mechanic, as well as finally gaining access to South Gimmel Hub and the Gimmel Hub ruins. All of these locations will even contain legendary Pokemon from Asone and previous regions. All of these plot-related locations will be revealed starting next week, when I will post the first story video of my Asone region game. Who are your rivals? What is Team Ozone up to? And how will you change the course of Asonian history? Make sure to subscribe to find out. If you want to see a sneak peek of Asone's Professor Cedar and Birdkeeper Toby's new region, check out this video on Hoops and Hip Hop's channel. Check out the Asone region playlist to prepare, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Check the description for the music I use, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and click the join button or become a patron to get cool rewards like discounts on merch and seeing my videos days early. I'll see you guys soon.